Hi, my name is George Reising. I'm a math teacher in Seward, Alaska. And in this demonstration of understanding, I'm going to go through a unit that I'm working on and improving for my next school year. And it's specifically involving modeling data. So I'm actually working off the previous course document. It's data collection and analysis. And standard-wise, looking at writing functions, graphing, and using technology to compute correlation coefficients and data analysis. And the ISTE standard that really ties with that the most is this 5B, collecting data, identifying relevant data sets, analyzing it. And so this is a really kind of fun one to teach because it's quite relevant and it's quite open-ended. It's not everybody doing the same project. I'm using TIM, the Technology Integration Matrix, and what I like about this project, before I go into the individual steps here, is students are going to ask their own questions. They get a lot of choice. They get a lot of value in pursuing what's meaningful to them, but they're also able to create and collaborate. This is kind of a fun part of mathematics, is when you really give them life's meaningful questions or ask them to pursue things that they're genuinely curious about. So what they'll do in this unit is, we'll first kind of, and this is an asynchronous course, so I have to be very intentional and recognize that students will be going through it at their own pace. That they will first get a general sense of what this unit is all about after they've studied linear relationships and exponential functions and a variety of functions, like putting all these pieces together into something really meaningful. Then what I'm doing, the protocol I want to focus on is flexible discussion, because often asynchronous math courses can be quite dry. So as students submit work, I will be immediately grading and giving them feedback. But I think these discussions of saying, okay, I want to take you through an experience of gathering data. It's very hard to have every student do their own project and try to find data online and then have to clean it and work through it. So basically, each one of these steps in this module, I'm using a module, will be building the skills needed to eventually do a piece of work on their own. And so this gathering data step, it will be a discussion, an open discussion about how to answer questions. So I wrote down here, because I'm also looking at provocative prompts, and I think it can be a little more challenging in math, but either providing some prompts like, what do you feel about, where would you get data to think about public policies such as vaccinations or climate policies or economic policies or land use policies. So either putting out a series of prompts that students will then dive down into, they kind of self-selecting what discussion they're part of, or even having that room for students to present their own prompts. Well, this is something that really, I don't know how you do it, and posing that questions to other students. So I still need to kind of work out that level of detail. But the idea is the importance of where to find data that you eventually have to work with and analyze. And then finally, or not finally, the next step would be looking at manipulating data. And this again would be an assignment. Like, how do you clean data? And I would be giving students examples of data with maybe bad date formats or something that they have to kind of clean up. But this assignment would be a more uniform skill building. Analyzing data would be a quiz. So I'd be utilizing a quiz there. And again, for that immediate feedback, it would be auto-graded. It's like, can you do this? Can you do these steps to figure these things out and find the answer? Using the technology and the lesson built into it. This all leads to this modeling data performance assessment, which is kind of like, now you're working everything on your own. And it's very interactive. And one of the things I thought about here too was, in trying to increase engagement in that feedback cycle, is as students work through this in advance of other students, and that has been my experience, is then using those more experienced students to go back and work with other students on how to work through their own projects, just like you would in a live classroom. Oh, you've already got this figured out. We'll go work on it with a student for a moment, see if you can be helpful. the final piece of this unit, this lesson, I mean, this is way more than a lesson, it's a lot of lessons, would be another discussion. Again, that increasing that flexible discussion. And I'm gonna zoom in on that one specifically because I built more of the detail. And I'm flat up stealing your format that you created for this course. I really like it. It's very clean. Share with your colleagues, step one. And they're going to do what I'm doing right now. I love it. It's just a great way to do it. So you're using video. You could use audio. You could write it up if you had technology challenges, like you don't have a camera. But I kind of address that as students email me. And you must include these three things, and then you have the option to include these in your response. And then step two, and again, I love the feedback examples. Hey, I watched your video. I saw your project. I never thought of this, or I really like this, or something that makes me wonder. I really like what you've done because I can then incorporate that into my course for next year. Wow, I've already went to 6 minutes. I'm trying to look at all the bullet points I was supposed to address here. And my experience having worked with students one-on-one in this kind of work is it's really valuable, but just trying to create that more classroom of learners as opposed to just individual touch points with students. Okay, I think that's everything. Like I said, I've already kind of laid all this out. I looked at the Excel version as well. I'm following my course evaluation guide. I've been doing this for a number of years, so I feel pretty confident that I've hit most of the things on the checklist at some point. But yeah, I hope that's not too boring and enjoyable.